Hi guys, so in today's video we are going to show you how you can make your very own hanging planter. So this is a DIY planter. As you see in the planters that we have made out of an old lampshade. We're just going to show you something a little more easier, something that you have the things that you have access to. So what you need is you need something like this, probably a round basket. As you can see, I've already made a couple of holes, but I'm going to show you how you can make the holes yourself. And preferably something that is with holes, so that's going to help the drainage of the soil. Alright, then you need some ordinary garden wire, outdoor tools, something to make the holes with and to cut the wire. And then you need your soil. Now we use 100% pure loam soil. So the benefit of loam soil is for your gardening purposes. The best thing is it's 100% with natural products like your vermicast, your coco peat, your garden soil, and we have natural fertilizers all mixed in it. So it's kind of like a super soil. So this is something that we use in most of our gardening that we do. I mean, in all of it right now we've been using coco peat and loam soil together, because that's basically going to help with producing good crop, as well as maintaining good and healthy plants as well. So it's not just for fruits and vegetables. You can use it for your gardening, for your flowering plants and ornamental plants as well. And obviously you need a shovel. Now this is a shovel that we are currently selling on our store. As you can see, it has a measuring tool as well, so you can check the amount of depth if in case you actually using that. The best part is this is made of 100% plastic. The whole body is 100% plastic, and this is a really strong plastic. It doesn't even bend, as you can see. The benefit of using this as compared to the other metal tools that you get on the market is that these metal things get rusted pretty easily, as you can see, and it's hollow. So what basically happens after a lot of use, you end up with something like this, broken tools, because that's just going to rust and break with the rain, and you're just basically getting wet with the soil. And secondly, these other tools, most of them just the handles just come off loose like this. So that's another problem that you normally face with tools like this. But something like this that we're selling on a store, it's made from very strong plastic, and it has a firm grip, so you can grip it well. As well as it's sufficiently sized in terms of the amount of soil that you'll be using for your normal household gardening purposes. And apart from that, we're also selling a gardening stool as well. Now this is a very strong gardening stool. It's kind of a branded one, if you know the brand Megabox. And this stool basically can take the weight up to 90 kilos. I'm just going to show you how strong this really is. Since I mentioned that this stool takes over 90 kilos, you can see I'm standing on the stool right now, and it's pretty strong. It's taking my weight. It's not even running, and it's made from really strong plastic as well. And as you know, the brand speaks for itself. So this is something else that we're selling on the store as well. It's a small stool that we're selling. So when you're basically doing your gardening in your house, or in your balcony gardens, or wherever you're, instead of basically bending and breaking your back, it's easier to sit on something small like this. So this is something that we are going to be selling on our store as well. So you can get in touch with us if in case you'd like to purchase one of these items that we're showing in this video today. Last but not the least, you require obviously your Mayana cuttings. So as you can see, we have freshly taken out these cuttings, which we are going to use in our project. So I'm sure many of you all do not have some of the varieties that we have. So obviously get in touch with us after this video, and we can certainly provide you with some of these beautiful cuttings that we have. And some of these are really rare cuttings, rare Mayana varieties that we have, and it's really beautiful. And hopefully by the end of this video, you're going to realize how beautiful it's going to look on this DIY hanging pot that we're making. The goal for this project basically is to ensure that the whole display looks beautiful. At the same time, it doesn't look too crowded. And secondly, we're not using, for that reason, we're not using all the varieties that we have in our store, in our garden as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some of the most rare varieties that we have, as well as some of the most beautiful, which obviously are some of the most beautiful Mayana cuttings that we have as well. And we're going to use those particular cuttings to construct this DIY planter. So an easy way to know that your display is going to look beautiful is to try and maintain a balance of colors. Now the way you can do that is to ensure that you have a light color, a dark color, a light color, dark color. So alternate between light and dark colors. As you can see on, this is going to be the display that we have here. The arrangement that we have here is going to be for the bottom part of the pot, and the one which I've kept here ready is basically going to be for the top portion of the planter. So this is just an example of what I am looking forward to achieve from this project. But as I said, the colors depend totally on you. You can choose whatever colors suit you. These are the colors which I would like to see on this spot. So I'm going to try and use as many of these colors as possible. Probably it will look too crowded. So basically, as we are going about this project, we're going to see what's going to be beneficial to us or not. So if in case there's something that we actually can't use, even though the cutting may be actually really beautiful, but if it's not going to fit into our display, we basically just keep using it. So let's get started now. So the first thing we're going to do is to prepare this basket. So our main goal is to basically make holes when we are going to be inserting the Mayana cuttings. So the bottom has a few more smaller holes for hanging plants that we are selling on our store as well called Portolata. I'll be showing you those plants as we get to that. So what we need to do is to basically prepare this basket for the Mayana cuttings, as well as we are going to make holes. They already holes, so we're going to try and use these holes to make the hanger for this small basket as well. Okay, so I'll just show you how you can go about using your household tools to make these holes. It would be kind of neater if you had to use a candle and just heat an instrument to make the holes, but I'm just going to use an ordinary cutter to show you how it's done. So what you need to do is to just make an incision on either side of these holes. As I said, it's going to be easier not just for the drainage, but for you to make holes in this basket as well, if in case you buy a basket similar to this. And if in case you're not able to find a basket, you can certainly contact us. We do sell these baskets and other gardening pots as well. So once you've got your hole made with a cutter, you can use a wire cutter to just go in a little bit deeper, because you want the hole to be square enough for the Mayana stem to fit inside. So obviously you're going to be plucking the bottom leaves of the Mayana, and you want that stem to not break while you're trying to insert it into this hole. So you make a hole that is sufficient enough for the stem, but not big enough so that you have a whole lot of soil pouring out. Okay, so once that's done, for the bottom hole you can just use a screwdriver, because we are going to, as I said, use some hanging plants called Portolata, and they have small, very small shoots, very small stems. Okay, so once that's done, the next thing you want to do is to get your wires ready. So you want to finish off all that at the beginning itself, because once your mud and your Mayana cuttings are in place, you really don't want to disturb it and basically be moving this around. So we set up the basic exterior of the pot before we get down to the actual construction of the planter with the actual shoots as well. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is to take some of your garden wire and get it cut into 4 equal parts. So this is going to actually become your hanger, and you need to just ensure that it is equally balanced on either side, so that the pot is not imbalanced while it's hanging and topple over with all the mud and the shoots that you've set. So I've already cut one side of the wire. I'm just going to show you how you can go about straightening this wire. It's a simple trick of making this wire straight, in case your wire is actually bent up. So the wire is of equal length. You don't have to be perfect in this, but it just needs to be approximately the same length, otherwise it's going to be imbalanced, as I said. So take your wire cutter and just clip it to almost the same length. Now as you can see, this wire is a little more straighter than this one. So there's a neat little trick which you can do to make this wire straight. You just need a piece of cloth, and you just got to run this cloth down the wire a couple of times on either side. Just use a little bit of force. Once you've done that, as you can see, the wire is straightened out much better than what it was. And that's how you make the wire straight for this garden wire. Okay, once you've got your lengths in place, you can just go about, you can either leave it the same on top, join, or you can cut it and twist it. It doesn't actually matter, as long as you're going to get it balanced correctly on all 4 sides. So you stick it on either side and just bend the wire into place. You can always straighten the wire after you're done, so that's not an issue. So on the exact opposite side, just stick in the wire again. And just twist it a couple of times around. So we're first going to start off with filling this basket with soil. So we're going to use loam soil, and we're just going to pack in the soil into this basket. So your finished product should look something like this once you put in the loam soil. Try and make it into a mound, because that's where your Mayana cuttings are going to be starting. So coming back to the cuttings, so obviously you're not going to use the cuttings that we taken as is, because it's going to be too big for this display, because this is just a small pot. So what you need to do is to basically trim off the leaf from the bottom. So you can just break away some of the leaf from the bottom to give you access to the stem. what you're trying to do is to just ensure that the stem is long enough to fit into the soil. And the great thing about Mayanas is that these plants can grow directly from cuttings. So once we set up this hanging planter, the second day is not going to look as great because it's going to look as though it's already dead. But you do not need to worry because once these Mayana cuttings catch on to roots, this is going to bloom and look really beautiful. But care needs to be taken from the second day onwards. For the second day to another 2 or 3 days after that, you just need to keep it in the shade and water it as normal, and they'll come back to their original luster. They'll look as fresh as they look today. So to start off with, what you need to ensure is that you have a tool that you can put into the soil. This is to ensure that you don't damage the stems of the Mayanas. So you start off by piercing a hole towards the center and just taking each Mayana and continue the same all round. And as I said, I've already arranged the look that I was going for in terms of the colors that I prefer to go around. So I'm just going to basically follow on in this circle until I finish using up all the cuttings that are here. Hopefully I'm going to be able to use as many of the cuttings as you can see right here. Another great thing about Mayanas, if you're someone who already owns Mayanas, will know that these particular plants are truly amazing, because if they are planted side by side next to a different type of variety, they tend to grab on the colors of that particular variety. And we're not actually worried in this particular display because we have individual mother plants that maintain the pure strain of those colors. So even if they're touching each other and they grab colors from one another, we are not actually worried because we have mother plants that are separate from each other, and that ensures that we maintain that pure strain. Because in order to maintain the pure strain color of a Mayana, you need to ensure just two things. You need to ensure that it is planted separate from the other colors, and secondly, you need to provide it with direct sunlight, and that's what's going to ensure that it's always going to look beautiful. So we just continue going around in a circle, as I said, and sticking the colors that we find are most suitable to our liking, and which is obviously going to look beautiful as well. So if in case you have cuttings that are really big, just go ahead and pluck out those leaves. And believe me, this is what we normally do in terms of the mother plant as well. We end up plucking a whole lot of leaves out of the mother plant, and that's how we ensure a thicker growth to the plant stem, and you get a more bushier plant that way. So let us know in the comments below, what do you think about this display we're making? Whether you find it beautiful, whether you learn something new from us, or you just want to pick up some varieties from our store. Just let us know in the comments, and we'll be glad to help you out. As I said, if you need to get started with any of these basic gardening tools as well, just get in touch with us for all your gardening needs. So once you have the cuttings stuck inside, just press down the soil a bit so it holds the stem firmly in place. I really hope I'm going to be able to use all of these cuttings. I'm really eager to use it because these are some of the most beautiful varieties that we have in our garden. You also want to ensure that you are positioning the cuttings facing upwards and not downwards, because you want to ensure that once it's out in the open, once the roots are settled in, you want that cutting to grab as much as sunlight as possible, because that's how it's going to look even more beautiful. So face it upwards while you're sticking it into the soil. I put a generous amount of soil only because to ensure thicker root growth as well. The roots have space. We have quite a bit of varieties in our store, but as I said, we have taken just few of the most colorful varieties for this display. This is just something that we're doing to help our customers and our viewers to have some fun in the garden, basically, with their newly bought varieties. kind of becomes easier to stick this in, as I said, if you have a pointy tool. And it's going to ensure it's not going to break this one. Looks like I'm going to be able to use most of the wires that I have in this tray, which is great. I've saved the best for last, basically. The variety that almost all of our customers in our store today, well, whoever bought from our store had picked up over a period of time, and that's the beautiful red variety that we have. Yeah, I'm coming to that. That's the centerpiece. Being a hanging planter, you want to have all the sides facing you at all the times, because you have a central position where you want to hang it from. Then that's fine, where it's visible from all sides. But most of the time, it's going to be just one side that is actually going to be visible, even though we decorated all the sides. So you could play around with the flowers accordingly. With the Mayana cuttings accordingly. Wherein side you can keep one side which looks really beautiful, and that's the side that you're going to see on a daily basis. Going to be using the DI. So the previous planter that we made, we had a whole lot of inquiries about that, but as I said, that was not actually for sale. That's a promotional item. We just made that to entertain ourselves. See, as you see, it's kind of difficult to stick it in, since I caked up this mound and I don't want to end up breaking plant. This is the reason I use just a pointy screwdriver or anything pointy. So once you're done with the sides, you move on to the centerpiece of the plant. I call it the centerpiece because it does really look like a centerpiece. So for the top, I'm going to be using probably two cuttings together to make it more bushy on the center portion. I'm going to end it up with trying to make space for the shoots to fill in. Once it takes root, it's obviously going to use up all of that space that we've put in all that loam soil in for its roots. All you need to do once it's settled in, probably after a month or so, you should just trim off. You can trim off by your hand itself. Trim off a couple of big leaves that you see. That's going to ensure that it maintains its shape. I'm doing the bottom portion of the setup at the end. The reason being is because it's on the underside and I need to hang this up to stick in the stems from the underneath. I do not want to end up damaging the underside. That's the reason I kept that to do last. So this is another beautiful color as well. It's a beautiful mix of purple with maroon, reddish tinge as well. Very, very beautiful. Actually, you should see these varieties in the dry sunlight. And once I'm done, I'm going to spray it with a little water. And trust me, you do not need to put a photo filter. If any of you think we using photo filters, we do on some of the promotional items which is not for sale. But for items that are for sale, obviously we want to show you the real stuff, what you're actually going to get when you're purchasing from us. So it makes no sense if we show you one item and it looks good on camera, but when you actually receive it, it's something totally different. So trust me, we are not that type of a store. So what you see is what you get, and as you can see, it's without any filters. I think I'm going to leave this leaf as is. Probably it's going to spread out across. Although I do think it's a little bit big and it's taking away the beauty of the center, and so I think I get rid of the bottom two leaves. As you can see, it's pretty easy to make this bundle. You just got to have a nice eye for the colors, and obviously you need to have an exotic variety of Mayanas. So if you do not have those varieties, you know who to contact. Yeah. Get in touch with us. and we look you up with some of these beautiful cuttings. So we don't just sell Mayanas, we also have different other plants. If any of you actually want to see the actual plants, all you need to do is to just look up our Facebook page and go to the photos folder. It's kind of filled up with almost all the plants that we have. We keep posting different plants that we get now and again. So here you go. It's like painting a filter in front of your eyes. Isn't that beautiful? So we'll not finish here, but then again I just need to show you the reality that we don't actually need to use a filter, because the Mayana varieties that we have are extremely beautiful. It wouldn't be doing justice to them if in case I have to use a filter. Okay, so that completes the top portion of it. So we're going to get down to fitting the sides. So for that, I just need to hang this up temporarily. I'm just going to use a rod to just hang this up, so I can turn this around and stick in the Mayanas into the sides. Alright, so if you can see, this is how your planter is actually going to look, by the way. So all I need to do is now to just take in some of those Mayana cuttings that I have on the sides, and I'll just keep turning it around while I keep going at it. So the same procedure, just I use a smaller. So the procedure is the same. Make a hole, prepare your stems so that they fit in perfectly. So this is going to be kind of tricky because obviously you're sticking it in sideways. What you can do is you can just press your finger from top to press the soil downwards. So that's going to hold it into place. It's not actually going to fall off once it takes roots. The end result is going to look really beautiful, trust me on that. So I'm just going to use for the bottom portion, just using light and dark, because I have just 8 holes around. So I'm just going to alternate with light and dark colors. So I just alternate the colors to ensure that I'm not using the same colors on top and down. So I have a yellow here, so I just alternated between the purple and the yellow on the other side. So you do not need to worry about any empty spaces, because once it's blooming, it's actually going to cover up all of that. Just going to reverse it to the other side, get access to the other side. This is the very reason why I had to do the top before I do the sides, in order not to damage the plant. So I hope this planter that we're making actually inspires you to make your very own planters. It's going to save you a whole lot of money. I know we're running a store and we're still suggesting that, but then again, it's always good to share something. It's not always about the money. If we can help people out that way, obviously you're going to need to buy the cuttings from us, unless of course you already have your set of cuttings. But for the planters, if you have something lying around, why not put your creativity to use? You have to be kind of delicate on top, because it's moving the roots underneath for the stems which we always starting on top. To finish off this build, we are going to use, as I told you, some streamers at the bottom of the planter. And these are called Potalaga. They are tiny, beautiful flowers. They do bloom into about half an inch in size, but they look really, really beautiful in bloom. So we have two varieties of this plant. We have spiny one and the ones with the round leaf. So we normally sell these cuttings on our store as well. They cost just 10 pesos each. And the beauty of the Mayana cuttings as well as these cuttings is they grow directly into the soil. So even if you cut these, sorry about that. So you can just stick these into the soil. So we're going to prepare it the same way how we prepared the Mayana cuttings. We're just going to break off the full leaf from the bottom so that it's easy to stick in. And as I said, the shoots are much thinner than the Mayanas. That's the reason I made smaller holes. And we're just going to stick these all around and alternate the different colors so that once they get in the bloom, it's going to look very beautiful. So the same procedure, just use a pointy object to penetrate the soil and stick in these cuttings. We've also shown you a way how to propagate Mayana cuttings with the use of water, and the water that we're actually using is our fish tank water. You should go ahead and check out that video as well. Because you have a fish tank, that's another beneficial way by how you can propagate Mayana. Just stick that in there. Just going to go ahead and turn this around. So these come in a variety of colors, basically yellow, red, pink. As I said, check out the photo album in our Facebook page. You see all of these flowers and plants, and have a couple of vegetables growing as well. Check it out. I'm sure you're going to find something interesting to add to your own gardens. Gotta be careful, it's just hanging on temporary rod. So we're almost done with this one. So if any of the leaves grow too big for this particular planter, you can just use your fingers to part it out. Okay. It's not going to die off, it's just going to grow back. So we're almost done with our project, and I'm just taking in the last piece. Okay, so that's about it. Let's just give it a nice little spray. So as I said, for the watering, you could just water it as normal. The only thing is that you need to ensure to keep it in a place which is away from direct sunlight, at least for 3 to 5 days of this sitting in this new powder. And after that, you can basically hang it anywhere in your garden, and it's going to be perfectly fine. Okay, so this is our finished DIY planter. I really hope you'll enjoyed this tutorial, and do let us know in the comment if you found this planter beautiful, and let us know what you thought about this. And we hope to see many of you in our store. And as I said, get in touch with us. We'll certainly hook you up with most of these varieties that we have. These varieties are for sale. So thanks once again, and do subscribe and like the channel. And we'll see you in the next video.